This green, this is how to do it correct, and red, this is how to do it incorrectly. Don't do this kind of business. It's very popular online. Influencers milk this opportunity. It's called a clickbait. So absolutely unqualified fitness influencers like to milk these kind of red, don't do this kind of clickbaity images and ideas, because that will make people click, and that's how people get the views and they get rich. This is why the information available online is so freaking confusing. Trying to get some education online about lifestyle, nutrition, exercise is often not just a waste of time, but super frustrating. But darling, if your hula hoop is staying up, you're doing it correctly, you can't do it wrong. And where your feet are is going to determine how you push into a hula hoop. Because to keep up a hula hoop, when we have one foot in front, we have to push front and back. When we have feet apart like so, we have to pull side to side. When beginners learn how to hula hoop at all, just how to keep a hoop spinning around the waist, they are usually not taught to pay attention to what their feet are doing. But how you position your feet will determine whether or not you have to move side to side, front and back, or if you have absolutely no timing and rhythm, you can go around and round, and it's all correct. But these days on YouTube, everyone can become a fitness expert, even though they have zero qualifications or experience, but they are very good at reading the algorithm. And if people click, that makes that fitness expert very rich, so they keep confusing the heck out of everyone. This is why the internet can be a very frustrating and confusing place for people who are trying to learn something. I would like to already put this here. You're pretty amazing because you're taking action, you're trying to get fit, and you're trying to learn as much as possible about this new activity that you picked up. And guess what? You're going to achieve all your goals and you're going to be very knowledgeable. You're a success story in the making. In this video, I'll share some of the scientific research that has been going into this subject that can be helpful, because we should actually use it. If there's actually scientists who are researching areas that could help us, we should use that information, right? For our benefit. We're going to try a very simple exercise with our hands and also with our feet while we are hula hooping. Sweetheart, I hope you're super excited and you're very proud of yourself. You have every reason to be proud of yourself because you're taking responsibility, you're learning something. Don't worry if you drop it, and don't listen to anyone who says that you can do it wrong. You're an absolute champion. With the hula hoop, we are so lucky. We can move side to side, the hoop stays up. We can move front and back, the hoop stays up. We can move around the circle and the hoop stays up. It can be quite confusing though, when people say that you can do it the wrong way. Can you do it the wrong way? I tell you what, the wrong way is to keep doing just the one way, because if you can do it different ways, you should, because that's how you prevent repetitive strain injury. A hula hoop is an amazing kit to get very fit with, because you can spin it in so many different ways. It's all correct, and the more ways you do it, the better it is for you, because that gives your body the variety that it needs so that it can get fitter, and the bigger the variety, the least likely it is that you get injured. So please hula hoop in as many different ways as you can. Let's collect evidence! Let's do an easy experiment. Because of basic body mechanics, we can generate momentum if we have better range of motion, and based on where we put our feet, we can produce more or less movement. Stay upright and still be aware if your feet are apart or if you have one foot forward and one in the back. Please avoid looking down because you need to stay upright when hooping. Posture really matters. And this is basic body mechanics. If your feet are apart, your body is going to find it easier to swing your hips side to side. It improves your range of motion this way, so basically it will make it easier for you to keep up the hoop if your feet are apart, side to side. Keep your feet like this, they are your point of support, and then rock front and back. Your center of gravity is not aligned with your point of support anymore. Then try and put your legs together and experience your range of motion. It is reduced. If your legs are apart, bigger range, bigger swing. Legs together, smaller swing. Next, move one leg forward and try rocking front and back. Because of the distance between your legs, you have great range of motion. You can do big rocking, especially if you soften your knees also. It will be very big, very effective rocking. But if you try and move side to side while you have one foot in the front, your point of support, again, is not really in line with your center of gravity, so you feel wobbly. Please, darling, don't let me talk you into this. You really have to try. Try and swing your hips side to side while you have one leg in the front. We wobble and it's harder to stay upright because it inhibits our balancing skills when the center of our mass is not above our points of support. Without a hoop, you can't quite feel it that much, but if you're trying to keep a hula hoop going, you really do notice because the hoop is almost giving you a diagnosis. It amplifies the sensation, the experience. Try moving front and back with your legs together, and again you may notice that your range of motion is somewhat limited again. So how you move while you're hula hooping really is determined by where your feet are. The stage of complete disregard is when an absolute beginner tries hula hooping for the first time and does not have access to this information. What about moving around in a circle? Is that wrong? I get asked this too. It's not wrong. So I called it the stage of complete disregard. It's when you do not coordinate what your feet are doing and how you move your hips. Like you have no clue and it's overwhelming, it's too much information. At that stage, moving your hips in a circular motion is like having a joker in playing cards. It's good for whatever it is that you're doing with your feet. So the circular motion, although it's not very economical, but it helps you keep your hoop up no matter what your legs are doing. Here's the hula hoop driving school. If your legs are side to side, then your hips should be swinging side to side. That's the most economical way to keep a hoop going. If you have one leg in the front, one in the back, then push forward, darling. Push and pull, push and pull. If you have zero rhythm and coordination, then the joker is move around the circle, darling. Just follow your hula hoop, push yourself into it. Now you're fully qualified from the hula hoop driving school. You've got your license. You can go and play. Usually beginners are not that coordinated. I know too well because I started hula hooping with zero coordination from a sedentary background and I had no idea what to do. Also carried quite a lot of fat around my midsection, so I couldn't even feel as much as I can feel now that I am now leaner. So when we have more fat, more cushioning, we can't quite feel as much. We can't really tell when to push to the front and pull to the back. And also if we are wearing a lot of layers, if you're wearing a lot of clothes, that makes it harder to feel where your hula hoop is touching when. And definitely being a beginner doesn't make it easier because if we've never been working out, it is a bit of a struggle to move at the right time. So strip, gorgeous. Maybe your timing is not really that bad. You just can't feel your hoop. Take some clothes off. For moving side to side or front and back, we need to do it at the right time. So that can be challenging for those whose coordination is limited. I was one of those. This is why it is quite simple to tell beginners to just follow the hoop around. How hard can it be, right? Like follow the light. So you follow the hula hoop and that makes you move around in a circle with your hips like this, if your hoop is spinning this way or this way. And you can't quite get it wrong, can you? Because you're just constantly following your hoop, trying to push yourself into it. So moving in a circular motion is absolutely not wrong, and it can help those who are super new to working out and hula hooping, and they are getting really frustrated moving front and back or side to side, because for that you need to get the timing right. And not everyone was born a dancer with perfect rhythm. So some of us have to start with something gentle, like following the light or following the hula hoop. 17 years ago when I started hula hooping, it took me a couple of days to learn to be able to even keep it up around my waist, and I tell you what, I was moving around the circle. I didn't carry on for the next 17 years moving around the circle, because the more hula hooping we do, the better our coordination, our fitness, our flexibility, everything just gets better. So we're not going to do exactly the same for the next few years. But moving around the circle helps to lower stress levels, so you don't have to be pushing and pulling at the right place at the right time, you just follow a hula hoop. And this is why, if it helps you to move around in a circle, because that makes it easier, then don't listen to anyone saying that it's incorrect, because for you, that's the correct way to keep your hoop going. We're all different. And we can spin a hoop on different body parts. Want to try arms with me? Let's see the science. There's so many correct ways to keep a hula hoop going. I would like to demonstrate it with arm hula hooping. To illustrate front and back hooping, I will move like this, because if I move like this, you can't actually see clearly what I'm doing, so I will do it like this. This is front and back hooping, this is side to side and circular, yeah? using the hula hoop on my arm. So this is a hula hoop spinning. Let's imagine we're moving front and back. Then side to side and circle. You see, it all keeps the hoop going. We can create so many different shapes with our bodies, and they are all correct and good for us. And they all get us fitter. We are very lucky because we have many body parts, and with a hula hoop we can train all of these body parts. We will always drop first. I tell you though that dropping your hoop is okay. It's actually really good for you. Can I sprinkle some science here? For neuroplasticity, we actually need to be making mistakes. And that is how we learn. When we're anxious and we put too much pressure on ourselves, what we activate is the sympathetic nervous system. That triggers the fight or flight response. So we can't quite focus, we just want to fight or flight. But learning actually takes place when we're able to relax, when we're playful, when we don't take it too seriously. So it helps if you don't have a nervous breakdown just because your hula hoop dropped. Trying to relax will help neuroplasticity. Science has shown that making mistakes is a critical part of learning because it's the errors that provide the brain the information so that it can make changes and form new connections and adapt. References, if you fancy going down the rabbit hole, have a good read and get inspired. When we keep doing things that we are good at, that's what adults like to do. They keep repeating things that they already can easily do. We do not change anything about our brain or body, we just maintain what we've got. That is just reinforcing neural pathways that already exist. If we give our brains the opportunity to figure things out, make mistakes and learn from those, then it will create those new neural connections. That is actually when the brain is active. The brain is a metabolically really active part of the body, so it uses a lot of energy. You burn more calories if you use your brain too. But you cannot start off doing everything correctly. Whatever you start, figure skating, weightlifting, yoga, you don't start off being able to do it all perfectly. You just learn and keep getting better and better. With hooping, I think we are in a very lucky position because the hoop does guide us. So it shows us if we are pushing hard enough or if we are pushing at the right time. Can we mention excessive wear and tear? Imagine your body is like a car tire, and if there's too much use on just one spot, then you see that on the tire. If you inspect the tire of a car, you can see if there's an imbalance, because that is where the rubber is going to look smoother. It wears off. Tires can be changed, but the body can't. So when we, for example, do repeated movements and abuse our bodies, let's say we crochet, then that causes excessive wear and tear. We cause irritation and we have pain. Our body signals that we've overdone it. Or people love to go jogging or they do Zumba, and the lack of variety will end up hurting their knees after a while. And this happens with hula hooping also. When people refuse to try hula hooping different ways, they just do it one way and then they end up with a herniated disc or bulging disc. So if there's one incorrect way to hula hoop, that's to do it only one way. Try and do it in many different ways if you can. So the more ways and the more body parts you spin a hula hoop, the better for you, because the less likely it is that you develop an overuse injury. It is hard to crochet or run or do a plank challenge using different joints with lots of variety, but with hula hooping, it is super easy and it's a lot of fun. And we all start off spinning the hula hoop around our waist, and we just very gradually move on to learning new moves when we're ready, when it's not too overwhelming, just step by step, with baby steps. So very well done, and I hope you're relaxed now. You cannot do it wrong. You're amazing.